In this video, we will complete the authentication flow of our application, and we'll also fetch some user data and show it in our homepage. In the last video, we created this Flutter project and we also initialized our Appwrite client. Just make sure that you set your project ID correctly and also the endpoint. You can find them here. Let's go to localhost, to our Appwrite, and then go to our project and then hit on settings. Here you can find the project ID and the API endpoint. Make sure that you enter them correctly. Here we want to build our app on an emulator, so we need to use this IP instead of localhost 10.0.2.2. If you are building on a real device like a phone, you don't need to pass this IP. You can just use localhost. Also, you can get this code from GitHub. After each video, I'll push the code to the GitHub repository and you can find the repository link in the description. First, let's do the authentication flow of our application. In order to do that, we will use the Appwrite SDK to log in a user. And if we get a valid response, then we will use the shared preference package and we will set a boolean locally in the device if we are logged in. And when we log out, we'll make that boolean false. When the app launches, we'll first go to a loading screen. If we are logged in, we'll straight away go to the home page. And if we are not logged in, we will go to the login page. If the user doesn't have an account, we'll take the user to the sign up page, where again we will use the Appwrite SDK to create a new user. First, let's make a new loading screen. So in the screens folder, I'll create a new Dart file. Let's import material.dart. Hit tab to complete it. Here we have it in our suggestion. Hit tab. Material.dart is imported. Now type stful and hit tab to create a stateful widget. Now name this stateful widget. Here we want to return a scaffold, a center widget, and inside this we want to use the circular progress indicator widget. And constant. So at the center of the screen, it will return a circular progress indicator. Now we want to write some APIs, and also by using the shared preference package, we'll store some values locally and check them if we are logged in or not, and some details about our user, like the user ID. So let's get started with it. I'll create a new APIs file in the API folder. Here I'm creating a new class, APIs. But first, let's add shared preference to our dependencies. So I'll go to pub.dev, shared preference, and then go to installing shared preferences. Copy this and paste it here. Go to terminal and hit flutter pub-get. And there we go. Here we have done a few things. We have first defined this class API. Then we have created a private constructor and we are using the instance of it. Now let's initialize our account with this client. We'll import it from the main.dart file and we want to import this account from Appwrite package. Also, we need to import this Appwrite models.dart package as models so that we can use some predefined Appwrite models. And then here I have written all the functions that we need to log in a user, create a new account or log out a user, and also to save some information about the user in the local device so that we can remember if the user is logged into the application or not. Here in the getUserID function, it's a future type function and it returns a string. In this function, we have used async and await. Async defines this function as an asynchronous function and waits for the await method to be executed first, then executes rest of the code in the block. And we want to get an instance of our shared preference here, so we are calling this pref. So we are calling this pref, which is of type future, and it returns a shared preference. If I call this function, I'll get the user ID if the user is logged in. IsLoggedIn function is a future type function which returns a boolean. It tells whether the user is logged in or not. It returns true if the user is logged in and false if the user is not logged in. Here in the setLoggedIn function, we are just setting the logged in value to true or false. And then we have this login email password function. It is a future type function and it returns a boolean. Here, as you can see, I'm creating a email session by passing the user email and password. And it's inside a try-catch block. So if the email session creation is successful, then only we are setting the user ID, email and password to our local device using the shared preference. And also we are setting the logged in value to true. Else, if there is any error with the email session creation, it will go to this block and read through. Similarly, in this sign up email password function, we are taking three parameters, the email, the password and the name. And it's a future type function. It's returning a boolean. Here we are using a create method to create a new account. We are just passing the email, password and name field from this function, and we are using the id.unique from the Appwrite package itself. Then again, we want to create a new email session here, and we will pass the email and password. If everything goes well and it doesn't return any error, then we want to store the user ID, email and password of the user locally by using shared preference, and then we want to set the logged in value to true. Now here you can see that this is also inside a try catch block. If we get any error, then it will read through the try block. Finally, we have this logout function, and if we click on logout, then it will set the logged in value to false, and it will remove the user ID, email and password of the current user. Now we want to create our login page and sign up page. So I'll go to screens, I'll create a new folder, auth, and inside this auth folder, I'll create a new .dat file, login page, import material.dat. After importing material.dat, I'll create a new stateful widget, login page. So we have our login page here inside the auth folder in screens. It extends a stateful widget. Here in this page, we require an email and a password. Here I have defined two variables, email and password, which are nullable strings. And then in the scaffold, I have an app bar, which has a title text login. And we also have defined the center title true, so the title will be centered. And then we have a text field inside a column widget with some padding. In this text field, whenever the value changes, we are setting this value to our email variable by using this setState method. As this is a stateful widget, we can use this setState method to set a variable's value to some other value when the state of the application changes. Similarly, we have a password text field, and whenever the field value changes, we are setting the password variable with a new value. And then we have an elevated button. It has a child text widget of login. So it's a login button, and we are firing this on press function here. It's a asynchronous function, and whenever we press this button, it will use the scaffold messenger to show a snack bar that it is logging in. It's basically using our APIs class, a login email password function. We are passing the email and password value here. Also here, we want to use then method, so that only after this function returns a value, we want to execute this block of code. And then after we get the response as result, you can check it's of Boolean type, and if it is true, then we want to show this snack bar that we are logged in, and we are routing to the home page using the navigator.push replacement. And if we catch some error, then in the snack bar we want to show the error. Suppose the user doesn't have an account, then we want to navigate the user to the sign up page. So here we have a inkwell widget which says don't have an account, sign up. And on tapping on this button, we want to go to the sign up page. Here in the auth folder, we also have the sign up page. Similar to the login page, here also we have three nullable string variables, name, email and password. In the app bar as title, we are passing a text widget saying sign up, and we also want to have our title at center. And then in the body, we have the three text fields wrapped inside a column widget, and we are also giving it some horizontal padding. The text fields are the email field, the password field and the name field. And similarly here as well, whenever the field value changes, we want to set the variables with the changed value of the field. Here also we have a sign up button, which is an elevated button, and in the onPress function, now we have the sign up email password function from our APIs class. We are passing the email, password and name variable here to create a new account, and here as the result we get a Boolean response, and if the response is true, then we want to show a snack bar that a new account is created, and then we want to navigate the user to the home page using this navigator.push replacement. And as you can see, this is also inside a try catch block, so if we catch some error, then we want to show the error in the snack bar as well. If the user already has an account, we will navigate the user back to the login page. Now let's try running our app on an emulator. So I'll select this Pixel 3 emulator, and just before starting our app, we need to do one more thing. Let's go back to our loading screen and write some function to check whether our user is logged in or not. If the user is signed in, we want to navigate the user to the home page directly, and if the user is not signed in, we want to navigate the user to the login page. As you can see, here I have written a getUserStatus function, which is a void type, and it is a asynchronous function. That means we want some of the code to execute. Only after that, we want the control to execute the rest of the code. So basically here we are calling the isLoggedIn function in our APIs class, and then we are getting this isLoggedIn value. It's of Boolean type, and if it is true and the user is logged in, then we want to navigate the user to the home page using navigator.push replacement. And if the user is not logged in, then we definitely want to navigate to the login page. So here we are calling this get user status function inside of this init state. So init state is the first function that must be executed before the execution of the build function, where we are building this circular progress indicator. Instead of this home page, now we want to start our application from the loading page. So we will use the loading page instead of this home page. So now let's try running our app. I have selected this Pixel 3 emulator. Now let's hit this run button, or you can go to the terminal at the project root directory, hit Flutter run. So the build is complete and you can see that we are in the login page. If I restart the application on hot restart, there's a circular progress indicator. It is barely noticeable, but it's there. And then we have the login screen. Now we want to align this email, password, login button, and all of these fields at the center. So I'll go back to the login page. And in this column widget, I want to give it a main axis alignment of main axis alignment center. What it will do, it will align all of these children widgets to the center of the column. Let's reload the page. And there we go. We have our email, password field and the login button at the center. Now if I click on this Inkwell widget which says don't have an account sign up, then I'll go to the sign up page. Here also I want to center all of these widgets. So I'll go to sign up page. Here in the column widget, I'll give it a main axis alignment of main axis alignment center. So now I should have all of these fields at the center. So if I click on already have an account login widget, so I'll go back to the login page. Now I want to also have some padding here. I'll go to the login page and here after the login button, I want to give it some padding. So maybe I'll use a size box and give it a height of 20 maybe. Let's see. Okay, it looks good. Now when I go to sign up, here I have the sign up form and then the sign up button, and then we have this login Inkwell. And if I go to login page, then yeah, great. Now let's start Docker desktop. Go to the location where you have saved the Appwrite Docker image, Appwrite, and then hit CMD to open command prompt at this location. Docker compose up. You can see that our Appwrite is running. Now let's go and hit localhost. In the projects, let's go to our to-do app project. And in the auth section, you can see as of now, we don't have any users. Let's create a new user from our app itself. Let's go to the sign up page to create a new user. So I've filled in these fields with my email, password and name. I'll click on sign up. And there we go. In the snack bar, we have new account created. And let's go back to our Appwrite console and let's refresh it. The user Asutosh Ranjan is added to our auth. Now in the application, as we are logged in as a user, now even if I restart the application, we should come directly to the home page instead of the login page. So let's restart the application. So I'm performing hot restart and the hot restart is done and we are in the home page of the application. Now let's try to log out the user with a logout button here, and we will also show some user details here. Let's go to our homepage file, and in the app bar, we will define the action parameter, and here we want to have an icon button. We will write the onPressed function. I want to give it a logout icon. Icons.logout. Yeah. And I want to also give it a red color. Now we will reload the application, and as you can see here we have a logout button. Pressing on this button, we will use this logout method from our APIs class. and then we'll also show a snack bar saying logout, and then we will route the user to the login page with navigator.push replacement. Now, as we also wish to show some user details in the homepage, instead of this homepage text widget, let's replace this with a future builder. Future builder widget in Flutter is a widget which can show a particular kind of widget based on the response that it gets after calling a future. So here we are calling this future API's account get. So here we are calling this future account.get from our API's file, and after it returns a response, and if the response has some data, then we want to show this widget, which is a column widget, and here we want to show the name and email of the user. Great. Now as you can see, the name and email ID of the current logged in user is displayed, and if I click on this logout button, great, we are logged out as well. Now I want to create another account, so I'll go to the sign up page and I'll give some another email, and let's fill this form. A new account is created, and as you can see here, I have the account details as well. Now even if I restart the application, let's perform hot restart. It remembers that this is the logged in user. Now if I log out, and now if I reload the application, we don't have the user logged in anymore. Now let's try logging in with our original account, and as you can see, now we are logged in with my account, and even if I restart the application, it remembers that I am logged in as Asutosh Ranjan. Let's now go back to our Appwrite console, and in the auth, see here we have the two users. Okay, great. Quite a lot for this video. See you in the next one.